Welcome to Box Free with Stephanie. Today I want to show you how to make some basic foods with simple ingredients from scratch. And I hope you discover cooking box free is fast and delicious. So let's cook together. Today we're going to make fall breakfast hash, which is really just like fried potatoes. Instead of potatoes you use a squash. So it's squash season, so like why not use it? So the first thing I'm going to do is take 4 pieces of bacon. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. What in the world? I have got like a bunch going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, whatever. So 6 is like 3, right? Because these are in half. So I'm going to just dice these up a little bit. You could cook these in a full strip, and then you could cut them afterwards, but I don't know. I like to cook in this recipe because I'm going to keep all my bacon grease in the pan. I like to dice it up and then, I don't know, just cook it that way. So this was basically 3 strips of bacon, and then this is all I have left, so we're just going to do all of it. I'm not going to bother saving half a piece or whatever. Okay, and then I'm going to chop up some onion. And then, once that's cooked, I'm going to work on my squash. Ooh, this is kind of fatty, potato stuff here. That's okay. All right, so that's that. Then, let's see. Okay, so I have a red onion, which pretty much is just for the fun of it, like the color of it. I don't always have a red onion in my house. I mean, like, actually rarely do I have a red onion. But for this dish, because the pumpkin is so pretty and, I don't know, it's just kind of fun that I just really want that red color, I guess is really what it comes down to. I don't know, I'm sure there's some kind of taste difference, but I'm sure it would be just fine without. I mean, I'm sure I've made it in my life without the red onion, just a regular yellow. But if I'm planned ahead of time and I can think of it at the store, then I get myself a red onion to make this gorgeous breakfast hash. Okay, did I flip my cutting board over? I must have, right? Ooh, my eyes are already getting really weepy. Okay, so this is cooking nicely. Oh, whew. Okay, so I'm not going to do tiny chunks the way I would for like a soup or something, because I actually want you to see like the chunks of red onion. I'm not sure what that is. So I'm going to make them bigger than I would for other dishes, but it's all based on what your dish is and how much of a size piece you want. So I'm leaving mine pretty big, like those are pretty monster chunks. So that looks like a lot of onion. Hoo-wee! Hopefully that'll all be just dandy. Okay, so now, so this part right here is like all chunked up here. That's not gonna break apart very nicely, so I'm gonna do that. Get rid of that part. Oh, and what's going on here? Same thing. Okay, so I didn't take off my little, I don't know, stem part, you could say. All right, so this is cooking very nicely. And see that color? Oh my gosh, with the orange squash, it's just gonna be awesome. Okay, so this is a little bit hot, but we're just gonna put that right there. Let's see. Okay, now we need to work on our squash, which is sometimes a bear. I'm going to wash this really quick because I was just cutting bacon. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my butternut. Okay, this is a butternut squash. I usually use butternut for this recipe, but that's usually because that's what I love and that's what I have in my house. You could probably use almost any kind of squash, maybe not like a spaghetti, but anything that you could peel and like get the raw chunks that should work. I mean, there's no like big taste difference is what I'm saying. Oh, I can't break that off. Okay, what I like to do is break it off and then cut it in half. And I have washed this because when you buy them or get them from your farmer or whatever, a lot of times they're dirty because they just came from the squash place. Oh my gosh. This is a little bit crazy. You do have to be really careful when you're like doing a raw squash like this. That's why it's also very nice to bake a squash instead of actually like having to dice it up like this. But I do like this dish, enough to make it worth my effort. So now, of course, I didn't get it perfectly in half, but I'm gonna grab a big scooper and scrape out all my seeds. So then I'm gonna just put those on there. Oh, I just love squash. Oh my gosh, I could eat it like every day. Oh, yeah, it's so yummy. Usually I just bake it and then I eat it basically like mashed potatoes or whatever, you know. But today we're gonna dice it up and make it like fried potatoes. Instead of fried potatoes, we're doing fried squash, which I also love that, but I really like anything squash, so. Okay, so that's sitting there. Now I gotta try to get my peeling off. So, based on how hard your peel is, you can sometimes just do it this way. Depends on kind of what you prefer. But you can also do it this way, where you kind of peel it here, and if you don't like going towards your finger, then just go away from your finger. And the paring knife can be kind of a hassle with that. So you can use your big one. You just want to try to get most of your green stuff off. I guess I don't really know if it affects the taste. You know, I don't really do my research. I just start cooking. But I do try to get it off. I need to ask my garden friends about that, but I never think of it, so I just get most of it off. And once you have your peel off, then you dice it. And by then, I think we'll be ready to take that stuff out, because this takes kind of a long time to cook, so I'm basically pre-cooking my onions and my meat, so that then I can throw this in my pan and let this just cook without basically like cooking my stuff forever. So, all right, so we're almost ready. So it's kind of, I don't know, I guess I do it both ways. Whatever you think works for you. And there's this big mess. I'm just gonna push that all off to the side here. Just like that. Okay, so let me stir this. My onions are getting nice and soft. My bacon is getting cooked, but it's certainly not crisping up yet. And sometimes I don't like to dice this until I'm really ready to throw it in. So, and that's not going to be enough for me. So I'm going to cut it again and then do the same thing a little bit more. And then I'm going to kind of stop. Because again, like, I don't always measure this one. It's all about how many people I'm feeding and how many people I want to, how much stuff I want to make, I guess, you know. So now this one, I'm going to kind of cut it off like this. So when you bake these, you basically cut them in half, or I cut them in half, and then you scoop out the middle, and then you put them face down in a baking dish, and I put like 1 inch of water or so, and then you bake it for like an hour or something. You just kind of bake it until it's soft, and you can, the knife goes through it. And then, of course, this peel just kind of slides right off. Or you scoop it out, I mean. Sorry, it doesn't slide off. But that's how that works. So baking squash is really super easy. And then once I scoop out my baked flesh, then I kind of mashed it and add, I don't know, it was mashed, it ends up being mashed, just from the nature of scooping it out. And then I add butter and salt, and that's usually it. I don't do any kind of syrup because it's like plenty sweet as it is. Okay, this is looking perfect timing. I'm gonna get a little bowl so that when this is done, I can put it in here. And now I'm going to start chopping my squash to see how much I have. So I just want kind of nicer bite-sized pieces. So let's see. I think I'm just going to do each one by himself. So if you have any other system for cutting your squash, you can certainly do it. And just remember, the bigger you cut these, the longer it's going to take to cook. So like if you're in a hurry, you'd want them like half as big, because these will probably take a good, I don't know, good 30 minutes, I'm thinking. I guess it depends on how hot everything is and if I have it covered, but it takes a while for this squash to get cooked. Kind of like a potato. I mean, a potato doesn't cook in 2 minutes either, so. Oh, it's going to be so pretty. I can't wait. Okay, and then I think I'm going to do this in half, and then this, and then this way. All right. So I got some really big long pieces here. And I'm just going to chop those up. And these are going to be really long too. I don't think I like the look of that. You just have to be really careful because you're pushing like so hard with your knife, and you know, you want to make sure that this squash does not like relocate right as you're like pushing with all your might, because that might just take off your little finger. Okay, this is good looking like it's going to be a nice amount. Hopefully enough. Okay, now this is kind of cooling off. Oh, I just saw, like, sometimes when I get these kind of tougher peels that I see showing up in my onion, because I like didn't peel off very many layers, I try to just pull them out. Like this one also looks tough. So sometimes you can see it because they just don't cook up the same way. Like this one feels tough. So I should have taken another layer off. Gosh, I'm like taking off the whole thing right here. And then when I don't see them and we eat them, then sometimes you just feel it. They're just a little bit tougher or chewier, but it's certainly not like bad for you. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna do it like this. Oh, like that. All right, my cutting board is like getting jam-packed here. That's good. Okay, now this one I'm gonna kind of go sideways, like a little circle. And this one I'm going to cut this way. Okay. So I definitely don't want them to be like too many different sizes, because then, you know, they won't all get done at the same time. So I'm trying to make them consistent, but I'm not sure I'm doing a super good job. But not bad. You just don't want like a monster and then like itty bitty. Okay. Oh my gosh, something is on my face. I'm thinking I'm gonna take these out. We're gonna just put these right here. Whoopsie, I wanna save as much of this good old greasy stuff as I can, which doesn't seem like there's a whole lot in here. So when you're making this, if you feel like your squash needs more fat or grease or whatever, you just add. I usually add butter because I love that taste with squash. But whatever, oil, whatever kind of fat you use to cook with. So now I have probably like a teaspoon in here, which is really not very much. But we're going to throw it in. Oopsie. Throw it in and throw it to the side. Okay, like normal. That's how I do it. That's why my dogs are always in the kitchen, because I'm always spilling stuff. Okay, so now let's see if we can get this closer. Okay, now this is looking perfect, really. I was thinking I wanted more, but I like how it coats the bottom of my pan. Then when I add all this, and I'm going to put eggs in here, so I think this is just dandy. So in the meantime, I'm going to clean the rest of my squash, which I guess I need that. But I'm not gonna add any more butter, even though, so what I'm trying to do is coat this. I'm trying to stir it and get every piece of squash coated with whatever kind of butter is in here, or butter, oh my God. Bacon fat, let's just call it what it is. And then I'm gonna cover it, which this pan does not really have the perfect cover, so this is a little bit crazy, because normally it's not like on the island and gonna fall right off. But I want that steam to help me cook the squash, otherwise I really feel like it's gonna take me forever. So in the meantime, it's gonna be like a good 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna clean out my squash, and what do I wanna do with it? I'm just gonna wrap it up and put it in the fridge, because I think I'll probably bake that and have it like as a side dish, or I will bake it and then I'll make like pumpkin bread or something with it, because I do that all the time. I get squash and then I cook the whole thing, and then whatever we haven't eaten, you know, like as our potatoes, mashed potato type thing, then I just bake like it's pumpkin, you know, like pumpkin bread and pumpkin muffins. I don't usually do pumpkin pie with squash. But in my opinion, you can't really tell the difference. You're just going for a, you know, squash-like, pumpkin-like substance. At least in my house, that's how I do it. I like to just make stuff up, kind of, so I don't call it squash bread, of course. I call it pumpkin bread. But you're just looking to get most of the stringy stuff out. I don't really think it matters, like if you don't get all of it out, but I just feel better about it. So there we go. Now I have like a quarter of a pumpkin left, or a squash, and I'll bake it up somehow. And so it would be like this in my pan. I would have like a few of these, or 2 halves or whatever, in my baking pan, and then bake it in the oven for 350 or whatever. So, all right, let's take a look at this puppy. Okay, so I can see right now that I don't think there's enough grease, because I'm getting kind of these golden pieces, and it's like it's too early for that. I don't want it to be kind of browning so fast, so I'm going to do a good tablespoon, just to give me a little more protection from that heat, because I do want some decent heat so I don't have to wait forever, but I just don't want them to get like overly done. And then sometimes I kind of cheat and add like a tablespoon of water and really do almost like steam them, but not yet. I want to give them time to cook, give them a chance. Got to get my butter to melt. Okay, so I'm going to let these just cook, and I'll come back in 10 minutes or so and show you how they're looking. All right, so it's been about another 5 or 6 minutes, and they're cooking beautifully. There's a little bit of a little more butter and a little more moisture, maybe from the steam, and now they all seem to be very coated, and they're browning. And so this is what I want. I want it to be hot at first, and then you kind of cool it down and kind of let it be a nice slow cook, so they can all get nicely done. And like I said, it takes a good, you know, 20 to 30 minutes, and it's only been like barely 10. So I'm happy with this temperature, the way they're bubbling, but not like on fire and not just like sitting there. So I'm just going to put my little cover on, which will help them steam, and we'll be back. Okay, it's been another good 5 minutes. Let's take a look. And now I'm going to test my squash with my little knife to see how done. So see how some of them are getting like really browned or whatever. So, and I can tell they're getting done because they're getting like hairier. They're kind of falling apart almost or whatever. So, okay, I can put my knife through them, but they are certainly not ready. Some of these smaller ones are. Like this one is done, but like this one is not. So that's why I didn't do a very super job on like making everything uniform, which is kind of okay, because I mean, if you have some that are super soft, that's fine. You just don't want them to be so done that they become mushy. Well, I mean, unless you like that, whatever, it's your food, you can do what you want. So, but I'm gonna let these sit for another 5 minutes or so, and then I will put the, I'll put the lid on now and let them sit 5 minutes. I was gonna say, and then I'll put the lid on. Then I'll check them again, and maybe we'll be getting close. Then we'll add that and add the eggs and be done. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, it's been another 5 minutes. Let's take a look. It's looking really nice. Ooh, it's almost blackened. Blackened hash. So I am going to test my bigger pieces. And then if they aren't quite ready, I want to, I mean, there's been a little bit of steam in here. Like, this is a really big piece. So this is what I do. I get my big piece and then I like stab it. It's just a little bit firm. Not bad. So what I'm going to do now is add my onions and bacon back in here to get them all nice and hot. Get my onion maybe crisped up. And also this is going to give my potatoes a little more oil on them, which will hopefully help them not be so blackened. So this is going to need to sit for another 5 minutes, which by then my big pieces of squash should be done. Then we're going to add our eggs and then we're ready to eat them. So, yum. Okay, I haven't salted anything. I think I'm going to salt them really quick here. Has a lot of good bacon scent. And you see how the red is just kind of pretty with the orange? Like if you didn't have the red onion, it would just be white and like, I don't know. I just like the look of it, but if you don't think it looks that great, just do a yellow onion. Okay, so we are gonna let this sit for another 5 minutes. And it's been almost like 30 minutes by now, or close to it. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, it's been another 5 minutes. So now my bacon and onions are all nice and hot again. And I am going to add my eggs and put my lid on and cook those. Oh, here's a nice big chunk of squash. I want to check that. All right, that feels pretty good. Actually, I'm going to take a little bite to see how soft this really is. Yum. Okay. So this is kind of a slow breakfast food. That's the one thing that's bad about it. This would not want to be done on like a Monday morning, but like a Sunday morning when you've got time, you're hanging out, you want some yummy fall food, make your breakfast hash. Okay, so now my number of eggs are either 3 or 4 based on how many people are eating and how much squash I've cut up. So based on this amount and how many people are eating in my house, I'm going to do 3 eggs. And basically then each person will get 1 egg and the third of this, which I think will be just about dandy. So what I'm going to do is make a little hole for each egg. And then I'm going to dump in my egg yolk, my egg, not the egg yolk, everything, in that little hole. And then just try to get it all perfect here so that I can, because once this egg is cooked, then we dish it up. And so I want my little holes to be like in the thirds. Okay, so here we go. Egg number 1 goes in there, and I try to keep the yolks whole if I can, just so that I can get a nice soft yolk. I try not to do hard-boiled or hard yolk on these, but I'm certainly no egg expert, and I don't always do it. But that's the goal. All right, so there they are. I'm putting my lid back on again and let them just cook. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit of salt again. A little bit to add to it. And I don't do any pepper or anything else. This is a very, like, squash. That's all you taste is squash and bacon, onion, egg, those 4 things. Okay, so I'm going to give it 2 minutes or 3, but it's going to be really based on when my egg looks done. So I'll be back again. Okay, I'm back and it's finally done. So this is what we have. Nice. They're probably pretty hard. This one's a little bit soft, but I just want my whites done. So that's how I cooked them. Okay, so now I'm going to serve up a plate. And if you can do it right, then you get this little like chunk, and then you take the rest of your little third and kind of make it go all the way around. Sounds like little birdies. Oh my God, that's adorable. Our breakfast hash with little birds and the noise and the sound of it all. Okay, so let me just turn this off and let me take a bite. All right, yum. I'm gonna get some egg white, some squash. Ooh, it's gonna be really hot. Okay, so it does take a while. I think I forget that. And I'm kind of impatient a lot of times when I cook, which is crazy because I do like to cook. Okay. The squash is so good. This is why I love it so much. And then you just have to salt it to your preference. I don't like it if it's very salty, but some people probably do. And then it's getting all caramelized. Probably a little over caramelized on the bottom here. Like right here. Maybe, ouch, a little bit blackened. Okay, I'll stop burning my fingers. That's it. Thank you very much for watching Box Free with Stephanie. I hope you liked the show. I hope you make fall breakfast hash, and it's kind of a new twist on your favorite breakfast dish. I appreciate your time watching the show, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.